Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, now I'm going to look at the last week of August, August 22nd to the 30th, in great detail, looking at the cycle of the moon and where all the planets are relative to the placement of this moon. So we can better be prepared for what is happening out there in this dysfunctional, crazy world. So before I do, I always have to remind everyone, please sign up for my free newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org. And while you're there, check out my Patreon page, become part of a community, and don't forget my Galactic Planner. So go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and galacticplanner.com is where you can sign up to have your own chart calculated and all the transits, how they're affecting your chart every day. And it even goes into your calendar on your phone to be prepared. This is your personal chart, as well as you get the first month free. Go to galacticplanner.com. And remember, if you want to study Vedic astrology, become my student. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. So what are we looking at for August 22nd? We're looking at the moon is in Pisces, and it is in the last part of Pisces, which is the nakshatra of Revati. So whenever the moon hits Pisces and the nakshatra of Revati, kind of feel like we're at the end of the zodiac, so things are coming to an end. The moon has crossed over Rahu. Actually, it was on Rahu, which is intense, on the 21st. But today we have the moon in Pisces, close to Rahu, but in Revati. Revati is a beautiful nakshatra, by the way. It deals specifically with travels, but you know, with Mercury being, wow, Mercury has just retrograded out of Leo. And it is in Cancer now. And so it's going backwards. Let me talk about this for a minute, because Mercury has been in the early part of Leo the last 2 days. And now it's in the last degree of Cancer. This is Gandanta. When Mercury is Gandanta, it creates storms. And we also have the moon in the last part of Pisces today. Get ready, storms and floods and drowning and all this. And when I say drowning, I don't necessarily mean it literally, although it can be. But figuratively, drowning can mean we feel like we're losing control. And that's what I'm seeing during this time. You can't get a grasp on things. When Mercury hits that 29 degree of Cancer, it is probably one of the most critical, because it's actually in a Sarpa Drekana. Most of you won't know what that is. Just take my word for it. It's a nasty placement. And it's in the nakshatra Aslesha. Sneaky, sneaky. Things are creeping up on us that we don't have control over. This is radical. So, storms are predicted around this time. And hey, it's hurricane season in the Caribbean, and you know, coming from Africa that hits the Gulf and all of that every year. This is going to be a nasty one. And interestingly enough, Mercury is retrograde when it gets to this Gandanta degree, which means things are going to be a mess. Things are going to go haywire. I wish I had better news, but we'll get through this time. It's just a time of where everything becomes unhinged, and then we can get to a much better place. But this is a critical week, the last week of August, in every way. And looking at where the moon is, realize that there can be some problems with travels, actually. Actually, thinking about this, the day before and the day after today, but the day before, I'm going to say August 20th through the 22nd. Be aware of travels. I think there can be some problems, and I think there can be some problems with airlines. Maybe, and I have been seeing this for the summer, I've actually had a vision of an airplane going down on fire. So I don't know if this is what I'm seeing with this one around this time. Now that's been more in my meditations that that's come to me. And actually I had that vision right before all of the software went down, particularly in Europe in July. I had that vision of a plane going down. Maybe that's all it means, that the software is going down. I hope that's all it means, but this is critical for travel. Be aware, you got Mercury retrograde, you've got Uranus, Mars, Jupiter in the third house from the moon. The third house deals with not only communications, but traveling. So be very cautious of this day. All right, so let's move forward to August 23rd, where the moon will go into Aries, and it will be in the nakshatra Ashwini. Ashwini means fast movement, moving as fast as you can, and it actually rules travel too. So there can be some upsets in the travel industry as well. Okay, so looking at the moon, we have the Jupiter, Mars, Uranus in the second house from the moon. Expect some major changes, major changes with finances this day. Stock markets, finances, things are going crazy. Things are going up and down, and nothing's consistent or normal. Very volatile. But Jupiter is still 23 degrees. Remember I said that 23 degree mark. This whole month is critical and has a lot to do with possible attacks and earthquakes. So I'll leave it at that. Ashwini can make us all feel very impulsive and impatient. So watch what you're doing today and watch what you're spending. Don't overspend today. It's crucial. People may be overspending, and they may do some purchases that they regret. So buyer's remorse, be aware of that. It's not a good day to shop. Okay, so I'm looking at August 24th. The moon is in Aries, and it is in the nakshatra called Bharani. Bharani is about major breakthroughs. Bharani is about the birthing process. So it's like something will come together. There will be a new birth of something. So use this day for breakthroughs and moving forward in many ways. The moon in Aries does make us very impulsive and impatient. So get a grip on things and watch yourself, especially with spending. Like I've been saying, it's not good when Mars is in the second house from the moon. But Mars is about to change out of Taurus. This is the last day it's there. So good riddance. We can use some forward motion. Getting Mars out of Taurus, where it's been in the Pleiades, has been really hectic and very detrimental. So, but we're still there for this day. We're not out of the water completely. Venus just changed signs too today. By the way, Venus just entered into Virgo. Venus doesn't do well in Virgo. It's its debilitation sign. So I say don't be doing any, engagements or engagement parties or weddings when Venus is in Virgo. It'll be there for about a month. And it's approaching K2, which can be some kind of losses in the area of love and marriage and relationships. Mercury is still retrograde till, remember, not till the 28th. We still have it retrograde. Okay, so I'm looking at August 25th, and the moon is in Taurus. And the moon in Taurus is, well, it's in its exaltation sign, and it's approaching Jupiter. But boy, it's heated up being next to Jupiter and Mars. Mars sits still in the very last degree of Taurus. And by tomorrow, it should change out of this sign. But together, having all three planets there, this is an intense day. And a lot is going on. A lot dealing with, well, this is a day that you could be more intuitive, more psychic, more creative. Venus is coming together with K2, fifth from the moon. So that could be creative, a time for creative talents. But overall, the moon is conjunct Uranus today. Do you realize what that means? That people are going to be very temperamental and change their minds. Emotionally, they're unpredictable. And this can even go for our mothers. Our mothers, if they're still around, can be totally unpredictable today. But Uranus is the planet of change and unexpected events. Being on top of the moon, expect the unexpected today. And the moon also, as it's in Taurus, it's in Kritika. This nakshatra is a blade. It cuts to the point, cuts to the chase, and it is an angry nakshatra. So don't be surprised if people blurt out with an angry response, suddenly, unexpectedly, surprisingly, because it is anger. Mars is still in that with Jupiter, so anger can break out. Attacks are still very prevalent with Uranus being on top of the moon. Even though it is in Virgo, even though it is in Taurus, I'm thinking about Venus being in Virgo. So, wow, this is heavy. So let's move to August 26th. We're getting closer to relief time, temporarily, that is. But August 26th, we just moved Mars into Gemini. And that's a relief because I was really worried about this Mars being in Taurus. And I'm sure by the time this video comes out, we'll know what it's all about. I do my videos way in advance, in case you didn't know. In case you didn't notice the clothing I'm wearing from the 1st of August, but until the end of August. But that's okay. People, astrology works. I don't have to sit there and wait and see what's happening in the world. I just put my predictions out there and watch how the cycles change everything in the world. Remember this, I want to remind everyone, astrology is the study of cycles more than anything, and that's what we're looking at. So today, August 26th, the moon is in Rohini. It's in its favorite nakshatra, in its favorite sign. And I think this might be a relief, because the moon is lining up with Jupiter. That makes people more optimistic about the future. And Mars has gotten out of Taurus. So this is a great relief is on its way after such intensity and violence and anger and unpredictable events. This should be a day where things start to ease up. Mercury's still retrograde, but we're almost there, 2 more, no, just, 2 more days. It's stationing though, and it is at 27 degrees of Cancer. When it moves forward, it's going to be Gandanta again for the rest of the month. But I will say this, and into September, the early part of September, Mercury's going to be Gandanta in Cancer, then in Leo, and that represents storms. But I think for maybe a few days, but things will feel better. There'll be a relief at this time. Okay. So Rohini, by the way, is the nakshatra that deals with the best of things. So the best of things will come out today. August 27th, we have got the moon moves into Gemini, but it moves on top of Mars. So Mars and the moon are together exactly. And in Gemini, Gemini deals with communications. Be aware that people might be a little bit on the angry side today. You might feel verbally or emotionally attacked by others. Just be aware of this. It's not life-changing though. It may hurt your feelings, but it's not life-changing. But they are, the moon and Mars are both together conjunct in the nakshatra Mrigashira. And one thing I remember thinking about, this is critical actually. I thought we'd have a little time of peace, but I take that back because Mars will have returned in the United States chart. I just remembered, I have all these charts in my head, right? But the United States, its natal Mars sits at 0 degrees of Gemini. So Mars is returning and the moon is on top. Moon Mars conjunct on the United States Mars. So be aware. Like I said, for the till the end of this year, there are possible problems with strikes, with war. It's tough. Things are really, really happening right now that are moving us towards where we need to be careful. Mercury is still retrograde, got one more day to go. It's still retrograde today, and it's intense by the fact that it is really slowing down. So it's not a good time for travel. When Mercury stations, even to go to direct, it's changing directions. And that means people change their minds, even if it's direct, from retrograde to direct or direct to retrograde. And let's see, so yes, I'm seeing critical things happening with the moon Mars and being in Mars Nakshatra Mrigashira. There's intensity today as well. So let's look at August 28th. Mercury is finally direct. And remember what I say, either when it changes its direction, people change their minds. It is in the sign of Cancer where people feel like we need a lot of protection during this time. We need to be careful, but it is very close to its Gandanta degrees. So Gandanta means where people lose control. People lose their minds. And that's what's happening. So the moon is in Gemini, so it's a good time to open up the lines of communication. And it is in the nakshatra Ardra. Ardra is the storm god and does deal with sadness. So be aware that Moon Mars together in Gemini, there is a sadness in the air. And yes, with Mercury almost Gandanta changing directions, we still have all these threats of storms all over the world. But particularly, this is hurricane season, and I'm seeing this is going to be a bad one. So be aware of all that's going on. Yes, be prepared not to make a vacation to where there could be hurricanes. Be cautious. Don't be going on a Caribbean cruise in August. Let me put it that way. All right, so looking at August 29th, the moon is still in Gemini, but it is moved up to the nakshatra Purnavasu, which means return of the light. Things are improving. They will get better, although I'm still a little cautious about this Mercury being Gandanta. It sits at 27 degrees of Cancer. Gandanta is the last few degrees of water. So when it's 28, 29, it's more critical. There's 30 degrees to a sign, by the way, guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about. And with the moon being in Purnavasu, remember that means return of the light. Things will be restored. Things are coming back. Maybe even restoring electricity for some reason. Because when these storms hit, that's one of the things that scares me. So be aware, if you're in these zones, think about getting a generator. Of course, that might be too late by the time you're hearing this, but yeah, take care of yourself. Take care of your family and everything. And that's why we need astrology, so that we can better prepare for things, right? And that's what it's all about. So let's move to the last day of August, August 30th. We have the moon in Cancer, and it moves into the nakshatra called Pusha. Pusha is the nakshatra of nourishment and protection, and that is what we need. Mercury's still 27 degrees, so during the first week of September ahead, Mercury will be Gandanta, which means floods and storms. Get ready. I haven't done my September predictions yet, but it's going to be a little bit more of the same. Maybe not as intense as August, because August is the month that I first saw the most serious attribute predicting earthquakes. And Jupiter is still in Taurus. It's going to go back and forth actually in Taurus. And I just realized really right now that 23-degree mark, that when Jupiter hits it, bad things can happen, such as attacks or earthquakes. And so we've got 3 more crossings of that degree. I'll have to keep you posted, but this is the first crossing. Let's see what happens. And I'm looking at Saturn. Saturn has been squaring where Jupiter is. And that's critical. There's been so much stress and pressure from these planetary aspects forming squares, T-squares, grand crosses. Those are the aspects of crises. So this is a month of crises, and yeah, things will never be the same quite after this month of August, I believe. Now, Mercury being with the moon being in Cancer, they're coming together. And like I said, when Mercury and moon come together, it's when people overthink things. They overthink things. They over-process things. They can't make decisions. So be aware of that. This is a critical time when people need to get their mind together. Go with your first impulse. Go with your intuition. And what I'm seeing is Mars is in the 12th from the moon. So like the moon in Cancer means protection. Everyone should look to protect themselves, as well as our countries need to protect themselves. This is a critical time for the next year, dealing with war and attacks. The world is really coming unglued and unhinged this year and 2025. So stay in touch, and I will have you prepared. Not in a place to be full of fear, but to feel protected and secure. There's nothing better than knowing the future in terms of feeling protection and secure, so that you yourself and many countries and people can avert the problems ahead. So with that, I think I'll close. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about me, go to my website, galacticcenter.org. And there you can sign up for readings, Patreon, and my newsletter. And if you would like to study with me, become my student, now is the time, because semester 1 is beginning. And you can learn how to do astrology. You can be an astrologer. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.